see the endless garden awaiting me. Red with a rose of conviction, and red with a rose of hate. It's red with a rose of conquest.
What good folks, it's Darktry19 aka Papa Bustatine, and welcome back to What If Naruto Was the Emperor of the Elemental Nation Part 2. So like, comment, subscribe and share, but besides all that, enjoy the video. Chapter 3, Free as a Bird. Naruto smiled behind his mask, as he saw Kiba go flying into the wall thanks to Ryu, and knew the leaf did indeed become weaker in his absence. Of course, given all the outside support the leaf had when he was still a shinobi there, it wasn't surprising that things went downhill when allies started pulling away, and Konoha was ostracized for banishing him. The memory of the rookies betraying him once knowing of his burden only made this sample of revenge all the more sweeter in his mind. About 3 years after being emperor of the Western Elemental Empire, Naruto had his first failed assassination attempt against him as the emperor, which not surprisingly was done at the hands of the Leaf, and by Danzo's so-called elite team of root shinobi. Naruto knew it was going to happen sooner or later with that man, since the old power-obsessed asshole not wanting anyone to rise to power no matter where it was happening. Flashback 3 years ago, Naruto was sipping jasmine tea in his private chambers, going over various reports, both financial and military in nature given his title as emperor. With peace finally settling in, it was his duty to assess how the future would turn out with what was in front of him, and what situations will play out with everyone no longer raising weapons against each other. "My emperor, I've come to inform you we have intruders in the Imperial Palace," said one Walter Dornez coming into the room seeing Naruto nod. "I know. The seals inside the palace detected them. I had the samurai and shinobi move to protect the servants," said Naruto sipping his tea calmly while Walter smirked. "I do not need protection, Emperor," said Walter while Naruto returned the smirk. "Of course not. You are one of a kind, my friend. My personal Shinigami," said Naruto before laughing and seeing Walter bow slightly at being complimented for having such a title. "Do you wish for me to take care of them before they get here?" said Walter seeing the young emperor nod once with his smile growing. "You read my mind, Walter. You've been hanging around psychics too long. Still, I don't want them all dead, as I want to know everything they know in those heads of theirs, and not just about them being sent to kill me. I want the squad leader and at least one of his subordinates kept alive for interrogation before we send them back to their master, in pieces," said Naruto seeing Walter bow. "Your orders will be followed to the letter. I promise not one of these villains will see the light of day after the Empire is done with them. Now, with your permission, my emperor, I believe it's time I gave these young people a proper lesson in violence," said Walter, as he saw Naruto nod, and walked out of the room to do his duty. Several hallways down, "Are you sure the Emperor's private quarters are around here?" said one root shinobi, as he had an uneasy feeling about being able to get this far, and face no opposition. "Yes. Now hurry. Danzo-sama wants the Emperor's identity and life before the end of the day," said the root Onbu captain with his squad rushing through the halls. Only to stop when a door opened and single figure entered the hall before turning to face them in a calm expression his face. The man walked towards them, fearlessly, and with a smile on his face that made the root shinobi in front of him a bit nervous. With a single action of expanding his left fist into open hand, a quick flash from the lighting warned the root shinobi of what was coming towards them, and one root shinobi lost his head at the neck while another closest to the root Onbu captain lost his right arm. "Oh dear. I killed one of you. I guess it is to be expected in my old age that I would lose some of my edge slightly since my orders are to only maim you," said the figure still walking towards the root shinobi. "Who the hell are you?" said the root captain, as he quickly drew his sword, and the others brought out their weapons. "My name is Walter Dornez. Butler to the Emperor of the Western Elemental Empire and former Master Shinobi," said Walter before unleashing his microfilament razor wire with the greatest of ease, capturing 3 of the remaining 6 shinobi, and moved with blinding speed not meant for a man of his age. Before a single tug from Walter, who was now behind the root shinobi, caused the 3 in his wires to become a gory mess on the ground, and make the remaining squad from the leaf back away in fear. The one injured root shinobi from earlier tried to stand, but quick kick to the head knocked the man out, and brought the loyal butler of the Emperor to focus on the remaining root members. "Hurry! Run to the Emperor's room. I'll distract this guy long enough for you to slay our objective, said the Root captain while seeing his two subordinates nod and rush off to find the Emperor before killing him. How unwise, said Walter, as he used one hand to bind the Root Onbu captain by both his arms, and then the other two by their skulls. It doesn't matter how much pain you cause us. We won't tell you anything during our interrogation, said the Root Onbu captain while Walter just chuckled before killing the two behind the squad leader. You sound so confident we'll fail, but the way I see it, by the time we get through with you, I highly suspect you will be pissing yourself, followed of course by praying to your impudent master, said Walter before a couple dozen samurai came around the corner and moved to take him away along with the unconscious injured one on the ground. You will fail, said the Root Onbu captain with Walter's grin increasing, as he quickly and ruthlessly tore both of the man's arms right off before the samurai took both away. If I were an agent of the East, then maybe I would, but I'm not from the East, and it is my duty to never fail my emperor in what I do, said Walter before he went to summon a detail of servant to clean up this mess he had made. Blood was so hard to get out of good wood and carpeting these days. End flashback. Naruto snapped his mind out the events of the past, as the announcer asked for Rock Lee from the Leaf, and Tifa Lockhart from the Western Elemental Empire. Once more, the Leaf was booed while Tifa was cheered, and some men even asking for her lovely hand in marriage. Ah, Cloud. You better put a ring on that girl's finger before some guy snatches her away, thought Naruto with a smirk, knowing Tifa and Cloud Strife were in a relationship now for a while with no word of an engagement to be married being announced. My emperor. It is done. My agent has succeeded in his objective. She is yours, said a tall warrior wearing a trench coat and dark purplish fighting attire with a weapon many would believe was a sword. It wasn't. Thank you for informing me, Aoshi-san. Head down to the fighter waiting area. I don't want you to be disqualified for being late, said Naruto with Aoshi nodding and silently left his side. What was that young man talking to you about, Emperor Sama? Said Koyuki while her masked hero from years past just turned slightly. Just some good news that required my attention, Daimyo-sama, said Naruto, knowing he had to keep up appearances and not knowing the woman beyond her title as a daimyo of Spring Country while here before focusing on the fight below. If you could call it that. Lee was always good in taijutsu. Of that, there was no doubt at all. Much to Guy's joy in seeing Lee fight from the stands, but the now spandex-wearing Jounin had never honed his skills through intense war, and only trained for a fight. Tifa had been part involved with the fighting in the West since she was a child, as she ate, slept, and breathed war until Naruto came along to bring peace. Now, Tifa trained others in taijutsu, pushing herself, and everyone around her to the limit every day. No one trained like Tifa did in taijutsu. Rock Lee skidded back, his body aching like never before, and coughed up quite a bit of blood. From the looks of things from a doctor's point of view from seeing the fight, the Leaf Shinobi had 3 cracked ribs, concussion, broken right hand, wrist, and a fracture on his left leg. Lee tried to stand, but it was no use, and Tifa herself had a few bruises on her without question. However, the woman was shrugging it off like what he did was just a quick pinch of skin, and just looked disappointed at him. So this is the future taijutsu master of the Leaf Village. Pathetic. Naruto told me about you. How you fought Sabaku no Gaara in the Chunin exam preliminaries all those years ago. Nearly took down Gaara, but a simple miscalculation caused you to lose, and nearly become paralyzed from the waist down, said Tifa, making Lee, his fellow Leaf Shinobi competitors, and comrades watching in the stadium to become shocked. You know Naruto? What is that unyouthful demon done to warp your mind? Said Lee before he was kneed viciously in the face by Tifa, and the loud crunch. Sound of the spandex wearing Leaf Shinobi's nose being broken could be heard in the process before rolling backwards until he was face down on the tiled arena floor. He has done nothing to my mind. It has remained clear long after the day I met him. Go back to your Hokage and tell her Naruto is happy in the Empire. Happier than the hate-filled bigots in the Leaf could ever try to do on a good day, said Tifa before she did a high leaping drop kick onto Rock Lee and broke his spine with the tiles of the arena floor forming a circular spider web to implicate how much force she used in the attack. Rock Lee was down and he was not getting up. Lee, yelled Guy, as he saw Tifa be declared the winner, and his student being carted away by medics. That was for betraying Naruto. He told me how he found Senju Tsunade and got her to return to the Leaf to heal the injured. You being among them, if I'm not mistaken, Rock Lee. You are unworthy to walk again after your betrayal of such a considerate boy. Do this world a favor and stay crippled this time, said Tifa before walking away from the broken Leaf Shinobi without regret. That's not possible, said Neji, as he knew how Lee's skills were pure taijutsu, and that it shouldn't be possible for anyone to match the spandex Jounin in his field. Only for Neji to find fate had not decreed Lee the winner like the Hyuga thought. Are you surprised? The woman claimed to know Naruto. Maybe he did something to give her the extra edge? Said Sasuke with Neji nodding in reluctant agreement to his statement. Perhaps. Naruto is a demon after all, and demons have been known to bless humans in exchange for different things. Perhaps he did something to make that woman stronger than a normal person, thought Neji, as he heard his name be announced, and another by the name of Aoshi Shinomori. As before with Kiba, then Lee himself when revealing themselves upon their name being announces, Neji was met with booing and hostility that he had never experienced in his life. Aoshi on the other hand was greeted with cheers, praise, screams from women of their love for him, and how they wanted to be the mother of his children while begging him to be their boyfriend/husband. You can't have a weapon with you for this event. It's pure taijutsu only, said the arena announcer in a whispered tone to Aoshi while the tall man just nodded. My apologies. One moment please, said Aoshi, as he walked to the grass area around the large square tiled arena, and instantly his loyal subordinate Hanya appeared almost seemingly out of nowhere to take his weapon. I bring word from her Aoshi-sama. The woman, who has captured the emperor's heart, respectfully requests you hurt your opponent in a very painful and ruthless manner, said Hanya seeing Aoshi nod. Does the emperor agree with this request? Said Aoshi while seeing Hanya nod. He does, said Hanya with Aoshi nodding in understanding. As they both wish, I will do as they command of me, and become the instrument of their vengeance, said Aoshi before turning around and walking back to the center of the arena. You should give up now. Fate has decreed me the winner of this match before it started. Unlike my comrades from the Leaf, I don't lose to anyone, and cannot even to the likes of you, said Neji in his gentle fist stance while Aoshi's cold eyes stared into his own. There was one, who beat you in combat, and he was supposed to be the weakest of the Genin in the Leaf at the time, said Aoshi seeing Neji bristle with anger. That did not count. My opponent was a demon. Still is a demon. A fight with a demon does not count, for they use tricks to defy fate and thus are unworthy of their victories, said Neji before he was blasted with cold, cruel killer intent from Aoshi, and yet the taller man showed none of it his face. You will pay dearly for insulting Naruto, said Aoshi while making his knuckles pop when he turned his hands into fists. Begin, yelled the arena announcer before getting clear of the two contestants. Neji charged forward, intent of ending the match quickly, and decisively to leave nothing to chance in this fighter from the Western Elemental Empire being victorious. Aoshi had just stood there while Neji moved in close, already knowing what he had to do, as he just dodged one strike, then the second, then the third, fourth, fifth, and by the sixth attempt by the Hyuga did the Leaf Jounin start to lose his patience. The people could be heard laughing at him for his misses, calling the gentle fist to be overrated in his hands, and that the Leaf Shinobi were the superior breed they claimed to be, with this fight being proof of it. Is this it? Is this all the power you possess? I was expecting more from the supposed prodigy of the Hyuga clan, said Aoshi, altering his speed at different times to make Neji either hesitate or miss every time. Don't you dare talk like that to me, you commoner, said Neji, missing 2 more times before moving to perform a kaidan. It was then that Aoshi struck. Quickly moving in, Aoshi aimed low, and broke Neji's with a leg strike before following it up with a spin kick to the Hyuga's face. The sound of the Leaf Shinobi's jaw breaking could be heard, as the Jounin went flying back, skidding on the tiled arena floor, and Neji rolled slightly in order to use his momentum to get back on his feet. However, the instant he did, Aoshi struck Neji several times along the torso, the sound of breaking ribs could be heard, and the Hyuga prodigy was soon on the ground again with blood coming out of his mouth before being struck one final time in the head that had caused him to fall down unconscious. Fate does not hold us down unless we wish it to, Hyuga Neji. You use it as crutch and an excuse for everything. Uzumaki Naruto didn't believe in fate. He fought it since the day of his birth with every fiber of his being. You fell from grace, he has risen to that of high standing in the empire, and is respected by all within our borders, said Aoshi, as he left the arena floor while the arena announcer announced his victory, and left without looking back at his fallen foe. I don't believe this, said Kakashi, as he used his Sharingan, but found the treasured eye Obito gave him was unable to not only copy Tifa Lockhart's moves, but Aoshi's speed-altering ability, Ryu's strange blue fireball attack, or any of the taijutsu moves used in any of the matches so far. It doesn't seem possible, said Kurenai, as she didn't expect any of their students to lose until they fought each other, and by that point it would be mostly mute since the majority of the money would go to the Leaf Village. Let's just hope Sasuke has better luck with his opponent, said Kakashi, knowing Guy would put his own opinion in at this point, but the man was currently tending to his 2 former students, and Kurenai would have seen to her own had it not been for the matter of seeing who Sasuke would face. Would Uchiha Sasuke from the Leaf and Toph Beifong from the Western Elemental Empire please come forward to arena for your match, yelled the arena announcer with the crowd once more going into a frenzy over the names of the contestants. However, The booing from the crowd was a lot worse for Sasuke than Neji, Lee, or Kiba got when he walked to the squared arena with many calling for the Uchiha's death. The crowd chanting "Kill him! Kill him! Kill him!" over and over again, while many cheered on Toph to do just that when the match started. "Wow! I had no idea Sasuke was hated by so many people," said Kiba while staring at the Uchiha, who he saw had been surprised, and clearly disliked the fact everyone watching in the stadium was hoping his opponent would kill him. "What would you expect, Inuzuka? Cheers? Women begging him to impregnate them so they could give the Uchiha children for his clan? The people of Spring Country do not love traitors," said Ryu, as he was beside Kiba, and the Inuzuka growled at him. "No one asked you. Besides, if they hate Sasuke for being a traitor, then why don't they hate Naruto, and the fact he's the Kyuubi?" said Kiba before Ryu turned to him and was glaring daggers to the point where the loyal fighter of the Emperor nearly released his other side that would have turned a lot of heads their way. "Watch your tongue or I'll remove it before you can bark. Uzumaki Naruto is hardly the demon you and the rest of Konoha made him out to be during his childhood," said Ryu, seeing Kiba scoff at him. "Says you. I hear the Western Elemental Empire has all sorts of demons running around and the humans around them act like mindless beasts," said Kiba while Ryu's eyes had now narrowed dangerously. "Then you don't know anything about us, little man. The Empire is filled with demons. I will admit that. However, demons are not without thought, and reason with powers to help as well as hurt. Only when provoked do demons attack, but being the arrogant whelp you are, just like the rest of Konoha, such knowledge escapes your grasp, and thus helps in making you so weak," said Ryu before turning to see the taijutsu match between both Sasuke and Toph begin. "Ready to lose to an elite of Konoha, little girl?" said Sasuke while Toph, who was only a few years younger than Sasuke, just smirked, and made a bring it motion. "Like I would lose to a sniveling mama's boy like you," said Toph while Sasuke just scowled in anger before he realized that this girl's stance was weird and then at him that she was in fact, blind. "She's blind," said Sasuke while looking at the Emperor sitting beside the Spring Daimyo while wondering why he would let a blind girl fight. "Is that true?" said Koyuki in surprise while seeing Naruto nod. "That she is, but Toph's skills in taijutsu are some of the best around, and I would not have had her compete here today if I didn't think she could fight," said Naruto with pride in his voice while feeling it for all of his fellow fighters and knew even behind his mask that Toph would hear it. "Come on, mama's boy. I want to fight. If you've got cold feet, then by all means forfeit, and get out of this arena with your tail between your legs. I'm sure your village will help wipe your nose since they have so much experience doing it in the past," said Toph, as she sensed Sasuke's anger, and no doubt had his Sharingan eyes active. "You'll regret that, little girl. My Sharingan eyes and my Uchiha blood make me superior to you in every way. It's a pity you can't see that," Sasuke while the crowd booed him for the low blow to Toph. "You think me being blind is bad? The best part about being blind is I don't have to look at idiots and spineless cowards like you every day," said Toph while smiling at Sasuke since Naruto had told her in advance on the airship to attack Sasuke's ego and make him attack her first. "Bitch. You won't be smiling once I beat you within an inch of your life and drag your broken body in front of your Emperor," said Sasuke, who charged forward, and tried to land wave after wave of taijutsu strikes at her. But Toph blocked or countered them easily. None of Sasuke's attacks ever hit Toph at all, which baffled Sasuke, and the Leaf Shinobi watching since they never expected a young blind girl to be in this match. Hell, none of them expected their shinobi to lose against fighters from the Empire, and yet here was the end result. It was West versus East, with the West being undefeated in taijutsu against some of the Leaf's most skilled jounin who were trained in the shinobi art since almost from the beginning of their training. Toph dodged a punch to her face, blocked a kick to her stomach, and countered with an elbow to the stomach that caused Sasuke to stumble back. The Uchiha charged forward again, finding himself unable to use the power of his eyes on the blind girl before him, except countering her moves, but even then it was difficult, and was taking hit after hit while Sasuke had yet to land one. It was infuriating. Toph just had this air of calm on her face, as she moved swiftly again, only this time she struck his right kneecap hard with her fist after countering Sasuke's fist, and smooth sweeping kick took the ground right out from under the Uchiha. The Uchiha rose to get up, but found his neck being pressured back down by the intense strength of Toph's right foot being backed by the young girl's leg, and at any moment could kill Sasuke in a heartbeat. Listen up, you weak sniveling prick. Your eyes aren't all that special. Just because you're a so-called elite like your village doesn't make you great somewhere else. Fighters like me in the West travel all over, fighting each other, seeing how we measure up, and find ways to improve ourselves. That was one of the first things Uzumaki Naruto ever did when he came to the Empire, and he's been kicking ass ever since, said Toph, as she had come to admire the Emperor, and he never discriminated against her for being blind. He encouraged her to grow in being one of the best fighters around. There was no pity in him when it came to seeing her blind. Naruto even politely asked what it was like to see the way she does, given how Toph used her feet when he saw the girl train in secret so her parents wouldn't find out. Toph couldn't really describe it for him, other than that she had the power to see in her own way, and that was good enough for her. When Toph's parents did find out, they had planned to put a stop to the secret taijutsu training altogether, but by that point Naruto had nearly become emperor in all except name, and had a few more regions to take before making it official and ending the war in the West. When Naruto had visited at that point in time, he told Toph's parents that she had potential in fighting, and that being blind wasn't a hindrance for her like they thought. It was an edge. She could see in ways other people couldn't and thus had the potential to fight at such a high level for someone so young. The girl's parents tried to threaten the cutting of their financial support of Naruto if he tried to dictate parental policy on them again, and Naruto had told them that he never needed their financial support in the first place, so their threat was at face value, mute. Still, the two adult Beifongs had ignored him, and sadly Naruto had to finish his campaign to unite the West under his peaceful rule. After Naruto became emperor, his agents watching the family had reported Toph's forced seclusion, and finally had enough of these smothering parents. So with the help of some of his Dai Li agents, Naruto was able to smuggle Toph out of her home, which had been a palace almost unto itself, and saw to it she trained with the Dai Li Earth Division since they too were masters of taijutsu. Toph's parents eventually came to him, demanding the return of their daughter, and Naruto agreed they could, if they could make Toph come home of her free will. The wager had been made by Naruto to Toph's father that if he had a fighter of his own choice, compete in a taijutsu match against his daughter, and won, then Toph would return home without a fuss. However, if Toph won the match, she would be allowed to train with the Dai Li, and even be allowed to live within the walls of the imperial palace as his honored guest while free to move about the city around her. The man accepted, hiring the best taijutsu master he could find that money could buy, who oddly enough went by the name of the Boulder, and had him fight Toph in a one-on-one taijutsu match. Naruto watched from the sidelines, as did Toph's father, while the two slugged it out, and one was declared the winner. The winner by knockout, of course, being one Toph Beifong after two hard fists to the Boulder sent him flying out of the arena into a wall with the man's deep body imprint showing just how painful it was for him. With the wager won, Toph became a guest of the emperor, and a well-trained fighter while not being hassled about restrictions, with the only exception being not getting into trouble by abusing a privilege many would kill to have in her place. While Toph may be young and fearless on account of not seeing like normal people do with their own eyes, she wasn't stupid. Toph knew that to be a guest of the emperor, learning from the Dai Li, and being treated like a normal person without being blind coming into the picture was a dream come true.
"That loser will always be a loser," said Sasuke while Toph scowled at the Uchiha before getting a really evil idea.
Maybe he is not the best in some cases. Like being a jerk. He sucks at it. Being rude is another example. The guy is very polite and he only hits you with an insult after being hit with one first. However, there is one major thing Naruto does have on him you will never have, and that is having working balls, said Toph, as she moved her foot quickly from Sasuke's neck to his crotch, and with a simple lifting of the bare foot for only a single second the blind girl brought down a sledgehammer's worth of muscled weight on that section of the Uchiha's body. The high-pitched scream was instantaneous, as Sasuke cried out, and every male covered their crotch discreetly in reaction to it except Naruto. The emperor smirked at the poor Uchiha's situation and wondered how Konoha would treat the man now that the chance to pass on his bloodline was now gone forever unless they pardon Itachi for his crimes. Not going to happen given Itachi's current situation of nearly being blind from overusing his eyes and doing everything to stay under the radar under the protection of the Akatsuki organization. Of that much, Naruto knew very well from his spies, and the Uzumaki was greatly considering having the Uchiha killed to remove one of the three remaining of that clan. Oh yes, the emperor knew all about Madara, as Kyuubi had been informative of the man's involvement in their lives after being freed from Naruto's body. A condition made by Naruto since at the time of deal being struck, the blonde was sick, and very much tired of secrets being kept from him. Kyuubi agreed and promised on all 9 of his tales he would tell Naruto everything that others didn't wish to tell him. I wonder, if the people knew the truth, would they still hate me, or kill my ass like they do Sasuke? Or rather, did Sasuke now that the Sharingan is lost to them, thought Naruto while the arena announcer declared Toph the winner while still covering his crotch with one hand. We lost, said Kakashi while none of the other Leaf Jounin watching could believe it. This is a nightmare, said Kurenai, as she couldn't believe her student, much less Sasuke, had lost his match, and after the Uchiha had started training again the very second the 3-year suspension by the Fire Daimyo ended. It's almost a shame the Leaf Shinobi here lost. Don't you agree, Emperor-sama? Said Koyuki while Naruto nodded slightly. Yes. Keyword being, of course being, almost, said Naruto while the two rulers let out a chuckle of amusement. Do you wish your fighters to continue with the tournament? The West had pretty much won no matter what happens, said Koyuki with Naruto nodding. It would be insulting to them if I didn't give them a chance to test their skills in taijutsu against each other. Besides, the crowd paid good money to see these fights, and it would be an insult to them to deny what they paid for when they bought the tickets, said Naruto with Koyuki smiling while nodding in agreement. I concur. However, I feel that the Leaf Shinobi here should be denied the right to see it, and be removed from the stadium, said Koyuki seeing Naruto nod and could practically sense his smile. Not a problem. By now the Leaf Jounin in the stands will be seeing to their students and will soon find one of their group isn't with them, said Naruto with Koyuki's eyes widen in surprise. They'll be so busy looking for their missing shinobi, the matches will go on without any of their eyes watching them, and seeing how the West fights, said Koyuki with Naruto nodding while the smile behind his mask increased. Exactly. The situation will be further enforced given the Uchiha's current injury, said Naruto while looking at where the Leaf Shinobi in the stand had been and were no longer there. Then let's continue the tournament, said Koyuki before she signaled her subordinate to inform the arena announcer to continue with this event. Stadium Medical Station, I still can't believe we lost, said Kakashi while seeing Sasuke's private area was being attended to by the medic on hand. They crippled Lee. Now not even Tsunade-sama's skills may not be able to heal him, said Guy, as he saw his students on their backs, and severely injured. Those Western Empire bastard. Don't they know what they've done? We should file a complaint with the fire daimyo, said Kurenai seeing her student's arm in a sling after it was put back into place and was told it was fractured in several places along with other bandaged up areas of Kiba's body from Ryu's fireball attack. There is nothing we can do, Kurenai. Kiba was seen by a stadium full of witnesses losing and then attacking after the match was over. Neji, Lee, and Sasuke both lost their matches in taijutsu while signing waivers beforehand that they knew the risks. Filing a complaint would be considered childish and a waste of time since it will most likely be denied on its face value, said Kakashi with the others reluctantly agreed. Still, it isn't right. The fact they knew Naruto too makes things worse. He probably told them how each of our students was trained, said Kurenai with a frown on her face. But that information would be out of date after so many years. How could he know how Lee fights now? Or Neji? Said Guy seeing the same confused looks on their faces. What do you think, Hinata? Hinata? Hinata, said Kurenai when she realized her second student was not with them and the horrible truth that she had not since Kiba's defeat. Where is she? Hinata wouldn't run off, would she? Said Kakashi seeing Kurenai bite her lip, but still shake her head no, and knew Hinata wouldn't run. Even if she did, the caged bird seal would kick in when we came home to inform her father, and be killed to ensure no one to the Byakugan in any way, said Kurenai, as she saw both her fellow Jounin nodding in agreement, and knew Hinata's freedom would be short-lived. We should speak to the Emperor of the Western Elemental Empire. All those fighters claim to know Naruto and she may seek out answers about him, said Guy seeing the group nod in agreement. We will after the tournament is over and only as a last resort. For now, we need to find Hinata on our own, and before anyone else realizes she's missing to report it to another hidden village like Kumo, said Kurenai knowing she could begin right away since Kiba wasn't in need of her bedside manner like the others. I can help Kurenai-sensei. I may be messed up right now, but my nose still works, and can track her scent just about anywhere, said Kiba while walking with difficulty over to the woman. I'm going to need it given how large the stadium is and how much of a head start she is on us, said Kurenai before she left with Kiba stumbling along. With Naruto and Koyuki an hour later, impressive, said Koyuki seeing Ryu and Tifa fighting it out in an intense battle of skill and power with neither one giving in. Training for a war is only half the way to get stronger. One must be in a war and survive it, said Naruto knowing every one of his fighters here had done so before his own time in the West. A sad truth. Many have long forgotten that, said Koyuki knowing her people have not forgotten it, but people in the Leaf had, and believed themselves invincible since they had never been humbly defeated. With each victory, the pride of the Leaf swelled, and in the process, their own downfall when that pride blinded them to the painful truth when fighting 3-to-1 odds. Winner. Tifa Lockhart of the Western Elemental Empire, yelled the arena announcer while pointing to the pretty beaten injured woman with a raised arm in the air while clutching her ribs. Ryu stumbled over to her, as his own body looked pretty battered, but it didn't stop him from extending his hand, and getting one in return from Tifa and accepting it. The crowd went into another frenzied cheer for the two fighters, who fought against each other, and yet showed respect at the end. My Emperor. We have uninvited guests, said Walter in the Emperor's ear with Naruto's eyes shifting from the arena floor where Aoshi and Toph were about to fight their match to the pair of leaf shinobi walking towards them. Only to be blocked by Naruto's Shinsengumi bodyguards led by Hajime Saito, who the Emperor had convinced to join him in bringing about peace and order to the West under his rule. Like Saito, the Uzumaki had no tolerance for corruption, and supported Saito's belief in the slaying of those that were, since corruption would destroy the empire from within. You are not allowed up here. Leave, said Saito in a calm yet serious voice. We need to speak to the Emperor. It's very important, said Kurenai while trying to be polite to the Emperor's bodyguard and not being intimidated. If I let you see him, the Emperor will miss the match below, and will become displeased by the interruption of his fighters competing, said Saito while glaring at the woman and the Inuzuka behind her. What does it matter if we interrupt him or not? His empire's already getting the money for this tournament since his fighters are the only ones competing, said Kiba angrily and with impatience since he wanted Hinata back in his grasp. Kiba. Shut up, said Kurenai while looking back slightly before turning back to a less than amused Saito now looking to grab the hilt of his sword to unsheath his weapon to cut them both in two. Watch your mouth, boy. Just because what you say is true about the Empire winning no matter who fights, the Emperor himself wishes to see the potential of his fighters, and let them know he values them, said Saito while Kiba took a quick half a step back on sheer reflex alone. Our apologies, Samurai-san. It's just, we believe someone we know, who is missing from our group may have come in contact with someone in the Empire, and spoken to the Emperor to grant her asylum, said Kurenai and saw Saito's eyes narrow dangerously. And why would you suspect this individual would wish asylum within our empire, and what makes you believe the Emperor would even consider granting it? Said Saito while Kurenai shifted uneasily since she didn't know how to explain things to the man and the risk of offending him with how Hinata's current standing in life. We believe she wishes to be with someone in your empire. She is in love with one Uzumaki Naruto and yet is to be married to another individual, said Kurenai while hoping to use Naruto's name to get some kind of sympathy from the bodyguard. Yeah. Me, said Kiba behind Kurenai while the woman shut her eyes and mentally cursed the Inuzuka for speaking his mind. I see. And since Uzumaki Naruto is in the empire, seen as a great man among its people, you believe this woman marrying him will cause your missing person to possibly seek out the Emperor, or someone within the empire of high standing to save the woman from this arranged marriage. Am I right? Said Saito seeing Kurenai nod. For the most part. We tried to track her, but the scent went cold, and since the Empire has so many of its agents here guarding the Emperor, said Kurenai while not finishing her sentence because she was embarrassed to explain further. You wish the Emperor to waste his time and the time of his forces looking for someone you along with your group lost. Out of the question, and to even suggest it only further inflames your village's incompetence, said Saito seeing Kurenai scowl and Kiba looking pissed off. Hey! Listen up, samurai, my future wife has gone missing, and it's all because of that demonic abomination she has some foolish notion is deserving of love. So you tell that demon when you see him that my woman better not go anywhere near him or else I'm going to kick his ass, said Kiba seeing Saito's eyes become cold, cruel, and filled with bloodlust that gave him the appearance of a wolf. A very angry and hungry wolf. You have the next 3 seconds after I'm done talking for the two of you to get out of my sight before I take your heads clean off for your insolence, said Saito seeing the two leaf shinobi were gone by the time he counted to 3 and sure enough they were gone from his line of sight. Was that really necessary, Saito? Said Naruto while glancing at his chosen captain of Shinsengumi to watch over him while here. When it comes to leaf shinobi and their ways, my emperor, absolutely, said Saito, as he only had contempt for Konoha, and their way of doing things. Agreed. I'm sorry Koyuki, but after the matches and award ceremony are over, I have to leave immediately, and with all speed before the leaf make it back to Konoha to report one of their shinobi has gone missing, said Naruto seeing Koyuki nod knowing the leaf would no doubt do since it was the Hyuga girl missing and he had informed the spring daimyo about Hinata's situation. I'm sure I can convince the captain of their boat to delay his departure from spring long enough for you to do what needs to be done, said Koyuki knowing the emperor had a plan to help out Hinata and the only real obstacle standing in his way was time itself. The fight with Aoshi and Toph soon ended, as Aoshi had used his years of experience in fighting, and training to counter Toph's skills that came with her blindness. The man did acknowledge Toph in being highly skilled for her age and would like to see her continue the pursuit of being a true taijutsu master. The next match was between Tifa and Aoshi with the two using their remaining strength to give everybody around them a good final show. The winner of the match was Tifa, but only by a hair, as she had been beaten up pretty badly by Ryu in her match, and Aoshi was still pretty fit after his own fight with Toph. When it was over, the crowd was in a cheering frenzy, applauding the fighters of the Western Elemental Empire, and even the Emperor himself for sending these fighters to compete. Spring Daimyo Koyuki and the Emperor stood before each of the fighters chosen by him for this tournament. The Emperor personally expressed how happy he was in seeing them fight each other so well, yet keep their honor, and showed respect for one another after the matches were over. Each one was presented an award for their fight, while Tifa got the prize money, which she gave to the Emperor since they had all competed for him, and the Empire to do what he wished with it. In return, Naruto gave them each a fair share of the money, claiming they each did well, and all of them had earned every bit owed from this tournament. With the award ceremony over, the Emperor along with his fighters and entourage had decided to head back to the airship to immediately return to the Empire safely. Naruto bid Koyuki continued success on her movies, which he also invested in, and Spring Country being a strong prosperous land under her rule. Koyuki expressed the same to him with the Empire and his plans for the future, while secretly telling Naruto that Spring would be a home away from home should he ever need one. With the Emperor arriving at the airship's ramp, he stopped before turning to see the Leaf Shinobi his fighters had beaten, and their senseis along with them. Due to the severity of his injuries, Rock Lee was in a wheelchair, the same with Sasuke, though for an entirely different injury. Neji was walking with the help of crutches, and Kiba, well, he looked like some poor half-assed mummy. "Can we help you, Leaf Shinobi?" said Kyubi, having been watching the ship since it docked to ensure no one tampered with it. "We need to speak to the Emperor about Hyuga Hinata," said Kakashi, while seeing the Emperor's masked face shift slightly. "What about her?" said Naruto in his regal voice that meant to everyone to keep certain information about him a secret from the Leaf Shinobi. "She's missing. We believe she went to you for help," said Kakashi simply. "Help for what? Help with what? You're being vague and I find it insulting," said Naruto in a cold tone at the jounin he once called his sensei. Even now it left a bitter taste in Naruto's mouth. "It's in regards to one Uzumaki Naruto. We believe she is seeking a way to get to him," said Kurenai in the hopes her female voice would draw his attention more her way. As much as Kurenai hated to admit it, her female figure could be used to make the man behind the mask lose his composure, and maybe see fit to help them get answers. "Why? Does she seek to harm him?" said Kyubi, while already knowing that wasn't the case and had to play the cautious chief advisor. "No. Oh, Kami, no. She loves the dumb idiot. Always has. But there are complications in her life that are preventing Hinata from being with him, and some serious consequences if she doesn't come back with us to Konoha," said Kurenai, while the Emperor shook his head. "I can't help you find her. Even if she came to me in a hypothetical sense for whatever reason, I cannot return Hyuga Hinata back to you unless it is of her own free will, and her business within the Empire was concluded," said Naruto with a smirk on his face at seeing Kiba's face becoming redder the Uchiha's Sharingan eyes. "So if Hinata-san was on that airship right now, you wouldn't return her back to us, and risk the wrath of the Leaf Village?" said Kakashi, while the Emperor's forces just let out an amused chuckle before the Emperor himself raised his hand to silence them. "Do not believe for a single second, son of the White Fang, that a single shinobi village like yours can handle the might of a war-hardened empire forged from years of battle, and blood spilled on the ground. I have a handful of agents unafraid to die for me within my lands, who can easily turn Konoha into crater, and all I have to do is command them to carry out the order. Do not test me on this matter, Hitake," said Naruto with his voice sounding colder with each passing second. "My Emperor. We should go. Their very presence is sickening to my stomach, and yours too," said Kyubi, seeing Naruto nod in agreement. "Yes. Let's go, everyone. The Empire awaits, and the duties of its Emperor call to me even now from here." "You too, Kyubi," said Naruto, seeing the red-armored samurai that was the Demon Lord himself nod with smirk behind his samurai mask face and walk towards the airship's ramp while ignoring the shocked looks of the Leaf Shinobi. Did he just call that G guy, Kyubi?" said Kurenai, as she kept her eyes on the supposed fox, and her instincts told the female jounin to reach for a weapon to slay the creature. "Naruto. Get back here with my future wife, you damn demon," yelled Kiba while glaring at the red-armored demonic fox going up the airship ramp. "You are mistaken, boy. I am not Naruto, but I'll happily kill you here, and now if you try my patience any further," said Kyubi while staring into Kiba's eyes with his own that glowed with malice in them for the Leaf Shinobi around him before walking up the ship after hearing silence from the fools. With the airship ramp now closed, the vehicle took off into the air, towards the Western Elemental Empire, and leaving behind stupefied as well as enraged Leaf Shinobi behind. It would be at least a week before the captain of the ship, Kakashi, and the others were scheduled to return on to Konoha was ready to depart. When asked why by Kakashi, the ship's captain ironically told the jounin he got lost on the road of life, got drunk, and just relaxed on a well-earned vacation. A vacation paid for by the Spring Daimyo herself for assisting in the silent request and for his silence on the matter behind the sudden vacation that delayed the Leaf Shinobi in getting back home. In the airship some hours later, "We're in the clear, my emperor," said Ayame of the Hayabusa village, as she along with the rest of the shinobi on the ship had done a sweep for bugs, sabotage, and anything else that could cause the ship to have an accident while in the air. Of course, Kyubi was on the ship beforehand, but it was a protocol that Naruto had put into place in case the fox wasn't there to always watch his back and ensure security. It would have gone into effect regardless if Kyubi was on the ship or not, with the extra security measures all the more important with their special guest on board. "Thank you, Ayame. You may go," said Naruto while Ayame bowed and then left without speaking another word, while the emperor himself looked at the person across from him. Hyuga Hinata. If Kami did exist, then it was she, and forged this woman before him to be her avatar to represent her. And if by chance Kami was in fact a guy? Well, then it just proved Kami was a big damn pervert, and Naruto had somehow gotten in with the deity's good graces to have Hinata with him now. Hinata was a stunner. Pure and simple. Every guy that saw her for the first time must have walked into something when they turned their heads to keep staring. The shapely creamy legs that his blue eyes could admire forever, as the pants she wore were tight, stopping a bit more above the ankle, and a heavy coat he knew was done to keep people from looking at her well-developed chest. Her face would make angels jealous. Hinata's long blue hair had a shine to it that in a way, would make the finest silk in the world look like dirty mud-covered hay, and it flowed all the way down to the small of her back. She was magnificent. "You've grown up, Naruto-kun," said Hinata before she paled at not addressing him as emperor, while the Uzumaki before her just smiled behind his mask. "It's all right, Hinata-chan. Every one of my men and women that serve me know how I feel about you. How you feel about me. There is no need to address me by my title. Just be yourself," said Naruto, as he removed his helmet and mask to reveal the face behind it to Hinata. "Oh, wow," said Hinata before she fainted at the sight of seeing his face onto the couch she was sitting on with that face-covering blush. "Some things never change," said Naruto with a chuckle before walking over to the couch Hinata was on and sat down gently on the side she didn't fall sideways on. After a bit of prodding of the woman's side, Hinata finally awoke, thinking what she had just witnessed mere seconds ago was a dream, maybe nightmare depending on your point of view of seeing it, and had woken up from that place to be in a living nightmare. Only when she saw herself in an airship, heading to the Empire, and Naruto sitting right beside her on the couch did she realize, it wasn't a nightmare. It was for real. "This isn't a dream? This isn't a dream. This isn't a dream. This isn't a dream," said Hinata, as she squealed in delight, and hugged Naruto with all the strength she had. "No, Hinata. It's not. It's all right. You're safe now," said Naruto while holding the woman in his arms. "If only that were true. When Kurenai along with the others get back to Konoha, they will report back of me missing, and then use the cage bird seal too, said Hinata, as she started to cry, and hugged him tighter. "To kill you. I know. I know about everything. I wanted to come for you. I wanted to send some of my best agents, who I trust without question to protect me, retrieve you from Konoha, and come back here so we could be happy together. All I can really do is say, that I'm sorry, for not getting you sooner," said Naruto, as he had wanted to so desperately get Hinata out of Konoha, but his duties with the Empire, and the fact the girl now woman was always kept close to home because of Kumo's increasingly aggressive nature in wanting the Byakugan provided poor timing. "It's not your fault, Naruto-kun. I should have run away with you. Or later on when I was strong enough to escape before they branded me with the cage bird seal," said Hinata while feeling him slowly remove her headband, and she instinctively tried to stop him. "Don't. Let me see. Let me see what they've done to you," said Naruto softly, as he saw her hesitate at first, but complied with his wishes, and felt him remove her leaf headband from her forehead. To reveal the cage bird seal in all of its ugly glory. "I'm forever scarred," said Hinata sadly while she felt his fingertips touch the seal gently, and she had to fight back the flinch that wanted to occur from the touch. Since Hiashi had been less than gentle in putting it on her. "Don't count yourself out yet, my dear. Sitting before you is a genuine seal master," said Naruto, as he put his index and middle fingers on the center of the seal where the main symbol was before channeling chakra to it. The thing about seals, which few knew about, and even fewer could understand, was the fact that they were basically locks on doors. To unlock a seal required either the right combination, which may involve someone's blood, or picking the lock with the skills of seal master. It all depended on the level of skill and understanding the seal master had of seals in general in their design and purpose. In this case, the cage bird seal was not only archaic, but simple to understand, as it was basically a cage and locking mechanism tied to the optic nerves along the brain. It was a primitive thing among seals, but effective in its purpose, and had no unlocking system in its design. It was designed to make the person wearing it a prisoner and slave in all but name to the Hyuga clan. However, its greatest strength in lacking an unlocking system within the seal was also its greatest weakness, as it left no defense to picking the lock itself, which required a seal master, a connection to the main system of the seal itself, and matter of picking the lock to make the seal shut down on itself. The seal had no real defense against someone attacking the system behind its design, which monitored the seal's purpose and overall function. Once the system behind the seal was accessed, a seal master could do whatever he or she wanted to the settings of the seal itself. In Hinata's case, it was shutting it down without the power behind it. Basically, taking the purpose behind the seal, and just turn it into a simple removable paint job on her forehead. With simple subtle movements of his fingertips, Naruto picked the lock on the cage bird seal, his mind accessing the system behind the seal, and basically tricked it into believing it had done its secondary objective in sealing off the Byakugan. All it had to do now was power down and prepare for its own termination with a washcloth dipped in ink removing liquid. Did it work? Said Hinata, as she felt a tingling sensation on her forehead when Naruto touched the seal, and it spiked slightly before ending shortly after the quick spike in the sensation. See for yourself, said Naruto using her own leaf headband to show the cage bird seal had lost its potency and all it required now was some scrubbing to get it removed. And it won't activate at all? Said Hinata with Naruto smiling. No. I basically shut it down. The thing about the inner workings of the cage bird seal is that it follows simple commands based on its design, and lacks intelligence to defend itself against seal masters like myself. It was designed to seal away the eyes in a way to protect the bloodline from being examined upon removing them, but the seal has no inner defenses like mine did in containing Kyuubi, and thus was easy to turn off, said Naruto before he was tackled by Hinata and she kissed him deeply on the mouth. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, said Hinata, as she kissed him deeply each time after every thank you, and Naruto wasn't one to ignore such thanks since that would be rude. And Naruto could only return it to say you're welcome to her. Chapter 4 Truth revealed. Hinata did what? Yelled Tsunade from her office, which had the volume of the yell being so loud, it shook the whole tower, and could be heard by the village populace below. Hinata fled to the Western Elemental Empire to be with Uzumaki Naruto, said Kurenai, as she barely got those words out of her mouth when they arrived before Tsunade yelled out her question, and the look of pure fury in those eyes to match her voice. But that's not the worst news, said Kakashi seeing Tsunade turn her attention to him. Explain, said Tsunade while seething inside. Kyuubi is free, by Naruto, said Kakashi seeing Tsunade's eyes widen in shock and fear before they narrowed again. What? Did you just say? Said Tsunade seeing Kakashi now becoming nervous. The Kyuubi is apparently, free, said Kakashi before hearing the sound of Tsunade's desk breaking in two when the woman brought her fist down upon it. That idiot boy. Doesn't he know the consequences of doing that? If Naruto's not dead already from that he soon will be when I get my hands on him, said Tsunade while the jounin in front of her were concerned about how she would react to this. All their former students injured from the tournament were in the hospital at the moment and almost wished they were switching places. Almost wished. Some of the injuries were too sadistic in how they had been delivered by the Empire's fighters to wish swapping their current situations. Uzumaki Naruto is apparently alive Hokage-sama. Though how close he actually is to the Emperor himself is unknown. From what we heard from the fighters that participated in Spring Country, he's very close, and is well respected over there, said Kakashi while seeing Tsunade's anger growing. Well, there is one way to find out. Find Jiraiya. Bring his ass in here now. I need to talk to him. The councils, and the clan heads about this situation we're now in, said Tsunade furiously with the three jounin nodding and leaving to get the Sannin before the Hokage blew her top. Tsunade-sama, you should really calm down, said Shizune, but the glare Tsunade sent her caused any further advice to halt in her throat, and take a step back. Calm down? Calm down. We've lost support from allies, our daimyo, and just now I learned Hyuga Hinata has left for the Empire. I now have to handle Hinata's father, the political backlash from dealing with the Western Elemental Empire, and their views of the village regarding Naruto's banishment, said Tsunade while Shizune fidgeted slightly under her gaze. It was wrong Hokage-sama, said Shizune quietly to the older woman. What? Said Tsunade not hearing the younger woman clearly. I said it was wrong to banish Naruto for doing his job Hokage-sama, said Shizune in a much louder voice. I didn't ask you for your opinion on the matter Shizune, said Tsunade while younger woman herself now scowled heavily. At least tell me why you went along with the banishment? After everything he has done for this village, for you and believing in yourself after so many years, and getting over your fear of blood. Why? Said Shizune wanting an explanation. Because like it or not the boy was a threat to the village. Not because of the Kyuubi, but because of his heritage, and needed to be cut loose beforehand, said Tsunade, seeing the shock on Shizune's face. What heritage? Said Shizune, seeing Tsunade snort and look away just to see Jiraiya there on the windowsill. Naruto is the son of Uzumaki Kushina and Namikaze Minato, said Jiraiya while he ignored Tsunade's glare and focused on Shizune. Naruto is the son of the Yondaime? Said Shizune, as she had always speculated, but never really thought it was possible, and yet, Jiraiya just confirmed it. Yeah. If the village find out before Naruto's banishment, a civil war would have broken out, both Iwa and Kumo would be breathing down our necks even more. At the time, the Leaf couldn't protect Naruto from his father's outside enemies, and with the Akatsuki now causing further problems in wanting the kid for the Kyuubi, we had to choose. We had to choose between the Leaf and Naruto. We chose the Leaf, said Jiraiya sadly while Tsunade looked away. You chose the village? Even after all the abuse, the hatred, and pain they unleashed on Naruto? Naruto was and is the son of the Yondaime. If he were trained by you, he could have become stronger than his father, and yet you went along with the banishment, said Shizune with Jiraiya looking away while Tsunade scoffed. And what would Naruto do with that power once he learned the truth? He would have crushed the village in retaliation. The order to banish him was going to happen whether the Gaki succeeded in his mission or not. Naruto needed to know what it was to survive without the village supporting him and have a humbling experience where he understood the need to be a Leaf shinobi no matter the situation, said Tsunade while Shizune turned to face her and gave the female Hokage the deepest scowl the Slug Princess had ever seen her student give. Humble? Humble. You call banishing Naruto from the village a humbling experience? After this village gave him next to nothing and what they did give being poor quality. The boy was in hell when living in this village while I was taking care of you. Tsunade and you Jiraiya were out peeping in the hot springs of different villages. If anything, you two should have been humbled, but your own arrogance wouldn't let it happen, and now that Naruto is happily free to do what he wants in the Western Elemental Empire, you feel scorned. What is the matter with you two? Said Shizune before she stormed out of the room with Jiraiya sighing and rubbing the back of his neck. Ouch, said Jiraiya while sitting down in a chair across from Tsunade. Shizune's still young and will get over it, said Tsunade, as she saw Jiraiya not looking entirely convinced, and just decided to accept the woman's judgment on the matter. You called me here for something important? Said Jiraiya seeing Tsunade nod. Yes. Naruto is in the Empire like we first thought years ago, but now Hyuga Hinata is there too, and she wants to be with him, said Tsunade with Jiraiya wincing at hearing the girl going over to the Empire. That's bad. The Hyuga elders will want her seal activated, and when they do, said Jiraiya seeing Tsunade nod. She'll die. Slowly, painfully, and right in front of Naruto no less if she's that unlucky, said Tsunade seeing Jiraiya's face having a grim look to it. And if Naruto has some decent pull with the Emperor, said Jiraiya while going a bit pale in the face. The Emperor could cause us a lot of problems if he felt a need to get involved in some way, said Tsunade knowing the Fire Daimyo did not want to invoke the wrath of the Empire on his lands. Worse. He could go around the political view of things and send his agents to basically cripple the Leaf so badly only one of our enemies from finishing the job, said Jiraiya and saw Tsunade wince knowing he was right. We need to discuss this with the councils and clan heads. There is one more thing they need to know that you don't, and it's not pretty, said Tsunade seeing Jiraiya's face getting grimmer. When is it ever pretty? Said Jiraiya before following Tsunade out of her office to the meeting room where the councils and clan heads were awaiting them. Shizune was very good at her job since she knew what needed to be done while Tsunade talked to Jiraiya first. Are the rumors true? Is the Kyuubi roaming around freely in the Empire? Said Koharu while Jiraiya looked shocked and then looked at Tsunade glaring at the older woman. First, the meeting here is not official until I sit down and say it is. Second, I was going to address that matter, and if you defy me again I'll have you arrested for treason. Third, the rumors are indeed true from what Kakashi, Kurenai, and Guy have told me about how the Emperor himself spoke to Kyuubi's name with a supposed demon fox responding to it, said Tsunade, which caused a fury of shouting and yelling over how to handle this matter. The demon must be eliminated, someone shouted. He will use his demon magic to influence the Emperor to order an invasion here in the east. We need to kill them both, said another person. Prepare 4 Anbu squads of our most skilled shinobi and Jiraiya to go into the Empire to kill them. It will fall apart and we'll be safe once more, said another councilman, and the shouting continued. Silence, yelled Tsunade, as she slammed her fist down, and made everyone shut up. What you are asking Tsunade to do is potentially suicidal not only for the shinobi sent out, but for the village itself, as failure of such a mission would result in a war with the Empire, and we are already in danger of being destroyed by 3 major powers here in the east. I don't need to remind you of the potential scandal we had when the box filled the remains of Root Shinobi were dropped on our doorstep in pieces and the Empire's insignia on the box with a warning from the Emperor, said Jiraiya while Danzo stiffened slightly at remembering that fact. Then we appeal to the Fire Daimyo. Tell him the Kyuubi got free, is in the Empire, and should be extradited back here to Konoha for its crimes against the village, said Homura while seeing the other members nod in agreement. And in return, the Emperor could ask the people of Konoha be brought up on charges against Naruto for their hand in his abuse, and we'll have the backing of our former allies to put pressure on the Fire Daimyo to side with the Empire, said Jiraiya knowing that this was a two-way street when it came to sensitive politics. Someone always got screwed. What do you suggest we do? Sit here and do nothing, said Koharu, as she saw Jiraiya shake his head, and could see he already had a plan. We need to handle this covertly. Look, the Empire is stable enough that I can enter it without the risk of someone killing me just for being there, and at the very least I'll be arrested with the chance of facing the Emperor himself on those charges. I talk to him, get some insight into the kind of man he is, and use my charm to convince him to let me go with a signed copy of one of my books to get the man onto our side, said Jiraiya with a confident grin while Tsunade rolled her eyes. And just how do you intend to get the Emperor on our side? He already knows about the Kyuubi, as the man has been in contact with the demon brat, and the demon himself for roughly 6 years. The chances of him hearing you out are very slim, Jiraiya, said Danzo, as he saw Jiraiya shrug since it was a risk, and shinobi take risks every day. I'll think of something. At best, I can convince the Emperor to hand over Hinata, and let this whole ugly business be left alone since provoking him over Kyuubi seems like a rush to death. If anything, I should try to ask for the Empire to ally with us, and keep our own enemies off our back. Not to mention if successful, it could gain us our old alliances back to further make Orochimaru, and the other shinobi villages trying to batter down our doors, said Jiraiya seeing the people in the room nod in understanding. Hiashi-sama, you've been awfully quiet throughout this meeting. I half expected you to throw a temper tantrum over the loss of your daughter, said Tsunade seeing the Hyuga was surprisingly calm. I sensed my daughter might try something like this with the Emperor, so after the group leaving was late returning home, I personally activated Hinata's cage bird seal, and left the Empire a pathetic weak corpse. The only thing that demon brat has now is an empty lifeless body, said Hiashi with a smirk on his face at the victory over his daughter and the man she loved. Thanks a lot, Hiashi-san. You've just made my mission so much easier, said Jiraiya sarcastically while the Hyuga grimaced knowing he was right. You have your mission, Jiraiya. Go with the team I'll send with you to talk to the Emperor, convince him to return Hinata's body to us, and at the very least, bring Naruto back here to Konoha, said Tsunade while those in the room were grumbling in disgust at how they didn't need the demon brat in the first place and it was foolish to try. Imperial Palace days later, Hinata was in the royal gardens of the Imperial Palace, loving the flowers that were in it, as they seemed too exotic, rare, and filled with life. It was heaven on earth, and that was truer with Naruto here in the palace. Naruto had expressed how much he missed her, how much her words meant to him over the years, during the hard battles, the fights, and the near-death experiences he had when fighting to unite the land into what was now the Empire. Naruto told Hinata that it was because of her words to him years ago before he left, that he had survived the brutality of the war itself, and had long since planned to do something to save Hinata when the time came upon the uniting all the lands in the West. Then, just when Hinata didn't think she could be more surprised by Naruto, he gets on one knee, looks her right in the eyes, and asks the Hyuga to marry him. To be his one and only woman in the world with his heart in her hand. When he produced the heart-shaped diamond ring, Hinata hugged, kissed, and accepted without hesitation right in front of several individuals. Walter smiled, Kyuubi smirked, Liu Bei along with his sworn brothers cheered at the sight of their emperor, who had finally found his other half, asked the woman to marry him, and hear her accept. Nothing could ruin Hinata's happiness at that moment, as she wanted to have the wedding right away, and everyone to know of their wedding. Naruto agreed, but he told her that a condition of being his wife was to get stronger, and that she wasn't going to be a pampered empress like so many of wives of the daimyos in the East. Many of them had never had a hard day's work in their lives, having servants do the chores, never working hard, or heavy labor when required. Hinata accepted the condition without hesitation, as she had wanted to be strong from the start, and wasn't going to stop until she was second if not tied for first only to her husband in terms of strength. So Naruto had Hinata training with some of the Empire's best female fighters like Tifa Lockhart and Chung Li for taijutsu training. From the Southern Water Division, Naruto had a woman named Katara help Hinata with mastering her own water affinity, and learning new ways of healing using water itself when mixed with chakra that was properly attuned to the element. "Are you enjoying yourself, Empress-sama?" said Yoko Kurama, a fox demon with great skill, and deadly precision in everything he did. "Oh yes. Thank you for asking, Kurama-san. Your flowers in the garden are so beautiful, said Hinata, as she noticed Kurama was in his more humanized state, and wondered why that was since she didn't mind the more fox-like form. Thank you for the compliment, Empress-sama. The Emperor himself said you would like the garden and I am pleased to see he was right, said Kurama, bowing to the Hyuga. There is no need to be so formal, Kurama-san. I'm not the Empress yet. Even still, I wish us to speak normally since I am your friend, and you are mine, correct? Said Hinata, as she saw the brief look of surprise on Kurama's face for a second before it became a gentle smile, and saw him nod. I would like that very much, said Kurama, as he knew without a doubt in his mind that Naruto had chosen his wife, and Empress wisely. May I ask why you are here, Kurama-san? Said Hinata, knowing the man, or rather fox demon, was here for a reason. Yes, I'm afraid that news has come of a traveler, who wishes to speak to the Emperor, and this man wishes to talk to your future husband about you, said Kurama, seeing the Hyuga girl's eyes widen. Me? Did the traveler say his name? Said Hinata, seeing Kurama nod, though he didn't look happy about it. His name is Jiraiya of the Sannin. He was in the company of a few Konoha shinobi that were his escort here. They were your age or around it, with some being even older. I can only guess they were either your classmates, they graduated a year ahead of you, or some of the more veteran shinobi from the Leaf, said Kurama, seeing Hinata not understand. Is my future husband speaking to Jiraiya now? Said Hinata, seeing Kurama shake his head in a negative way. No. Naruto has been stalling Jiraiya and his escort while keeping a close eye on them should some of them wander off where they shouldn't. He requests you join him in the royal audience chambers for this meeting with them, and to let you know Kyubi will also be attending for his own reasons, said Kurama, as he saw Hinata smirk, and knew that she knew the Emperor had a plan up his sleeve to make the Konoha shinobi really piss themselves. I shouldn't keep my future husband waiting, now should I? Said Hinata, with Kurama also smirking, as he extended his hand, which Hinata took while he escorted her to the royal audience chamber, and sit by her lover before he addressed the Leaf shinobi a few rooms away. Waiting room with Jiraiya and group, fancy place the Emperor's got here. Not too showy, but not too simplistic either, and the female help aren't bad looking either. Who wants to bet he's banged at least one of them just for the fun of it? Said Kiba, now fully healed with Akamaru by his side. Just make sure your dog doesn't mark anything here, Kiba. We're guests here. The fewer to no P markings this place has from Akamaru, the better chance we have of this little meeting with the Emperor going smoothly, and avoid the chopping block, said Jiraiya, seeing Kiba nod, and gave a look to Akamaru. I'll be respectful to the Emperor, but if Naruto's around, said Sakura, as she had every intention of smashing her fist through Naruto's skull, and make his brains turn to mush. Don't, Sakura. Naruto has a great deal of favor with the Emperor and the respect of the people in the Empire. To strike him would spark further tensions we can't afford, said Kakashi to his former student. Of course he does. You saw the demon in Spring Country after the tournament was over, Kakashi-san. If given the chance, I'd rip his throat out, and mount his head on my wall back home, said Kiba angrily at the idea of the demon having his woman. Behave yourself, Kiba. We don't know the position Kyubi has with the Emperor. If you provoke either one, we may not return to Konoha alive, and that will severely weaken the village, said Kurenai, knowing the Inuzuka was pissed off about Hinata not only being here, but now dead thanks to her cage bird seal being activated, and her last moments no doubt being with Naruto. I'll try. But if this Emperor guy is some snooty, I'm better than you kind of guy, then I say the hell with being nice, and just tell him to screw off, said Kiba, while his former sensei sighed at his brashness. I doubt he is like that, Kiba. This man forged an empire out of the West through warfare and is no doubt keeping his skills sharp to avoid being removed from power. It is what leaders of an empire do after all, said Shino, while having been told beforehand by a man named Walter that his bugs would not be tolerated flying around the imperial palace and would result in immediate punishment and the loss of one of the Abarame's limbs for each bug the butler claimed could be tracked back him if floating around. Shino didn't doubt it, so his bugs, out of their own form of self-preservation, and his own, had decided to stay within Aburame until they were out of the imperial palace. Which means none of you Bekas are going to do anything stupid. Got it? Said Anko, as she saw the younger shinobi in the room nod, and the door near her open to reveal a young man with long red hair wearing well-dressed clothing. Jiraiya of the Sannin and his associates? Said the figure, who they recognized was the man named Kurama, and met outside the walls before they were escorted here, where the man named Walter spoke to them. Yes, said Jiraiya, seeing the man turn fully to face him. The Emperor will see you all now. Please follow me, said Kurama, walking out into the hall towards the royal audience chamber with the group following close behind him. I have a question, said Kiba, while ignoring the warning look from Kurenai to not do anything stupid. Depending on the question I will answer it, said Kurama without looking back. Why do you smell like a fox? Are you secretly Kyuubi? Said Kiba while making the leaf shinobi around him tense and Kurama stop walking. No. I am not Kyuubi. However, since there is no way around denying the truth, I am a fox demon, said Kurama seeing Kiba baring his teeth at him. You don't look like one, said Sakura while Kurama just chuckled. You think all demons like dogs, foxes, and cats are incapable of having a human-based form? That is incorrect. While I myself do possess a fox-like form, it is nowhere near the size or strength Kyuubi himself possesses, which I am sure the older members of your group remember, and witnessed years ago before he was sealed away. There are some demons in the Empire, who have 3 forms, which like myself, and Kyuubi have the honor of possessing. What you see now is my human-looking form, while my secondary form is far more powerful, and shows some of my more fox-like traits that prove my heritage is indeed that of a demonic fox. The main form of demon animals like myself and Kyuubi are the ones Konoha is already familiar with when we are using our full potential, said Kurama while making a hand motion for them to continue following him. So you have a strong affinity for fire like Kyuubi does? Said Shino curiously, as he did not take Kurama to be the fire type, and didn't radiate the same hostile power Kyuubi did. Though whether that was meant to be comforting or downright scary was unknown to the Aburame. No. I'm more attuned to nature itself. I can manipulate plants and trees using my powers to create beauty, or death, said Kurama simply with a small chuckle that made the leaf shinobi behind him shiver slightly. So Kurama's power are similar to the Shodaime Hokage's own, but more advanced given his demonic energy, and he's capable of using it as a weapon in a pinch, thought Kakashi while filing that away for later. And remembering to stay away from the plant life that looked unnatural. So what's the Emperor like? Said Anko, deciding to focus on the Emperor himself and get a feel for the guy that would no doubt decide whether or not they leave the Empire alive. You will find out soon enough, said Walter from behind the group of leaf shinobi and almost scarring them out of their clothes. Where the hell did you come from? Said Kiba while pointing a finger at Walter, who just smiled at the boy in an unnerving way, and the loyal butler quickly vanished before reappearing with the Inuzuka's finger in his hand. You should never ask such things in rude tone, young one. It's considered disrespectful, said Walter while staring into the Inuzuka's eyes, and Kiba could practically smell blood on the man's hands. This guy is a killer. He's seen death and no doubt delivered it upon others using those very hands when required, thought Kakashi, as he knew a taker of life when saw one, and this butler seemed to be a master in the field. Walter, we can't keep the Emperor waiting, said Kurama seeing Walter look at him and nod before letting the Inuzuka's finger go. Of course. Let's continue, said Walter while Kurama continued with the leaf shinobi behind him following and Walter in the back to ensure no stragglers decided to stray from the set path. The group soon made their way to the designated doors that led to the royal audience chamber, which was guarded by samurai, and each guard had their hands at the ready to cut through any one of the guests right there should the order be given. With a nod from Kurama, the 2 by the door opened the heavy doors while the others kept a close eye on the Konoha shinobi, and leaving nothing to chance. When the 2 doors were fully open did Kurama finally walk into the royal audience chamber with the leaf shinobi behind him quickly following, and Walter doing the same before signaling to the samurai to shut the doors. Jiraiya along with the others gasped at how elegant it looked, as designs of dragons and foxes decorated the room in an elegant tapestry that made anything in the east look pale by comparison. It didn't even hurt that there was fire, yes, an actual line of fire along both sides of the large room, which rose nearly up to the ceiling, and upon following the trail led to the man sitting behind a wall of flame. This time the Emperor's face was not masked by a helmet or covering like they had seen in paintings or in person in Spring Country. Beside him was a woman, who was hard to make out at first, like the Emperor himself because of the wall of fire, but as they got closer, a sense of dread filled the hearts and minds of the Konoha shinobi. The eyes that stared at them through the flame were piercing blue eyes, filled with cold fury, and it reminded the older shinobi of the group of one person that had been a hero to Konoha for many years. The woman next to him was wearing regal robes worthy of her station in being the future empress of the empire, as Shida looked at the leaf shinobi, and one Inuzuka with anger. A very rare thing to do given the woman's gentle nature, but considering everything that had happened to her, and to the one she cared about, it was long overdue. The only reason I allowed you an audience with me, is because I felt it was time some of you understood the severity of Konoha's stupidity, and the level of your own arrogance, said Naruto, his voice filled with anger, which matched his eyes, and the fire that spiked ever so slightly around him. Naruto? You are the Emperor? Said Jiraiya seeing those cold blue eyes glaring at him with such intensity it was like staring into his late student's own. Surprised? You shouldn't be. After Konoha's betrayal, I had an interesting conversation with Kyuubi, and he suggested I go to the west beyond the wall. Considering how my life was shot to hell by the likes of that bitch of a Hokage and those in power before her to further gain what they wanted, I agreed, said Naruto, seeing Jiraiya's eyes widen. Quit playing around, Naruto. We all know you're really the Kyuubi. We all saw you in Spring Country when the real emperor called out to you, said Kiba before the already intense fire around them grew with the flame licking the ceiling above them. Foolish Inuzuka. You know not what you speak of, so hold your tongue. I was in Spring Country. Of that, you are indeed correct about, but I was not there as the Kyuubi, and you would do best to remember that before I have one of my subordinates make an example out of your hide, said Naruto, his anger directed now entirely on Kiba, and the Inuzuka was hesitant to say anything else while the flame around them continued to flux with the emperor's anger. If you're not the fox, then prove it, and have Kyuubi reveal himself, said Sakura before she heard a cruel chuckle from behind a circular pillar with the design of a dragon rising up around it. You mean me, Haruno? It seems your arrogance has blinded you all from the simple fact we are not the same as you can plainly see with your own eyes, said Kyuubi, as he now walked towards the group, and the group took a step back away from him. If you're the Kyuubi, then that means, said Sakura, as she turned from looking at the demon fox to Naruto, and then back again before staring at Naruto in horror. At last, you all finally understand, and the painful truth has been revealed, said Naruto with a cruel grin on his face aimed at her and then at the others. But, Mom said, she said Kyuubi and Naruto were one and the same, said Kiba in shock at seeing his whole perception of reality he had been raised into believing was true become shattered in a single moment. You don't believe Naruto still? Kurama. Stab me, said Kyuubi before seeing Kurama look to the emperor for permission, and when Naruto nodded did the other fox demon comply. Using his rose whip, Kurama pierced Kyuubi's shoulder with it, a wound that the more powerful fox simply ignored when struck, and further proved he wasn't just some weak shadow clone of Naruto under a henge disguise to deceive them. When Kurama pulled his weapon out, he bowed apologetically to him, and then to the emperor himself before turning it back into a rose. As you can see, the proof, as they say Kiba, is in the blood, and the truth that was never made known to everyone in the first place because of the scandal it would cause. You know what I mean, don't you, my godfather? Said Naruto to Jiraiya, who looked guilty in a way a child did in being caught with his hand in a cookie jar, and lying despite the truth to the contrary. So you know, huh? Said Jiraiya while the fire spiked around him and Naruto's blue eyes narrowed dangerously. Of course he knows, fool. Who do you think told him? Who do you think told him the biggest secret ever kept from him? You know the one. It was kept from him even longer than my sealing into his body, said Kyuubi seeing Jiraiya's face go deathly pale. What secret? Said Kurenai seeing Kakashi and Jiraiya flinch while Naruto's anger once more spiked at seeing the former react. A secret known to a select few. A select few, who were trusted to do their duty, and yet they chose to betray the man entrusting them with it, said Naruto angrily while Jiraiya and Kakashi looked down in shame. I don't suppose you care to tell us? Said Anko while hoping he would, since she, like most of them, was in the dark about this hidden secret. The secret known to a select few is who my father is. Though considering the last name I had for most of my life, you would think the one muscle the leaf hasn't used in a while would work again, and figure it out, said Naruto with most of the group still didn't know what he was talking about. Your last name was Uzumaki. So what? Said Kiba before Kurenai smacked him on the back of his head. That was my mother's last name. If anyone growing up around my father's time here used their brains, they would understand there was only one Uzumaki in Konoha at the time before I was born, and they know who she married, said Naruto seeing the older adults of the group stiffen and could practically feel the cold shiver that ran down their spinal columns. Uzumaki Kushina, said Kurenai, as she had met the woman a few times, and wondered how it was she missed the painful truth about who Naruto's mother was, with the man's father being equally painful. What's the significance of some woman with the same last name as him? Said Kiba while Anko smacked him on the back of head. Baka. Uzumaki Kushina was the wife of Namikaze Minato. Namikaze Minato was the Yondaime Hokage of the Leaf. Naruto is the son of the Yondaime Hokage, said Anko seeing Naruto smile at her, but his blue eyes that were filled with rage, and would not leave him. Now you finally understand. Now you finally realize just how stupid, just how reckless the people of Konoha were for what they did, and the significance of just how deep the betrayal was to my heart, said Naruto while glaring at both Jiraiya and Kakashi, since he knew they would understand the double meaning behind his words. Naruto, we came here to talk to you. Peacefully. In a civil manner, said Jiraiya, as he saw Naruto narrow his eyes at him more, and had to look away before looking away yet again when his eyes locked onto Kyuubi's crimson orbs. Civil? Do you take me for a fool, Jiraiya? That you are the only one with a spy network? I know why you've come here with your little band of Leaf Shinobi. You want Hinata-chan brought back to Konoha, said Naruto simply while Kiba growled slightly before Walter made a noise that told the Inuzuka to be silent. She should be buried in the leaf. It was her home. It still is her home, said Kurenai, as she saw Naruto look at her, and then surprisingly, he laughed. Bury her? Why? Hinata's not dead. Or has your vision become so clouded and narrowed so badly that you can't see who the woman is sitting right beside me? Said Naruto, as he raised his hand, and moved it for them to follow where he wanted them to look so they could see the Hyuga for themselves. Hinata? Said Kurenai, as she could barely see past the fire, and thus had not seen her former student's face in the process. Give me back my future wife, said Kiba before a firm hand was put on his shoulder by Walter, and the butler squeezed hard while telling the Inuzuka's dog to know his place and not interfering. No, said Naruto simply while Kiba struggled between growling in anger and gritting his teeth in pain from Walter's grip. Naruto, there is an arranged marriage between Inuzuka Kiba and Hyuga Hinata to be scheduled for when the tournament in Spring Country was over. I don't know how well schooled you are in politics, but in the East, her father demands she return home and be married to Kiba immediately, said Jiraiya while not mentioning that Hyashi had already tried to have Hinata killed using the cage bird seal. That was not on her head. Oh crap. Funny Jiraiya. I didn't think Hyashi was the kind of man to marry off his presumed dead Hyuga daughter to Kiba. Unless, he thinks Kiba is into that sort of thing, said Naruto while Kiba went green in the face and wanted to puke like the other Konoha shinobi. We came here originally to return Hinata's dead body to the leaf, but since she is in fact alive, our mission has been altered to returning her home to Konoha to be married, and without delay, said Shino while Naruto focused on the Aburame. Let me guess. Logic demands I comply with this since I am of royal status now and thus comply with the rules of royalty? Both as an emperor and the son of a Hokage? Said Naruto seeing Shino nod. Correct, said Shino while Naruto just grinned dangerously at him. Tell me Shino, when was the last time I ever acted in a logical way? Said Naruto, as he leaned forward slightly, and looked right into the shades that hid the man's eyes. I do not know, said Shino admittedly with Naruto grinning even more. Damn right you don't. None of you do. Not surprisingly since you were all told to hate, scorn, and or ignore me. So tell me again why should I follow the rules of the East when I am in the West, and going to be married to this wonderful caring woman sitting by my side? Said Naruto while the fire in the room lessened and Hinata blushed at his words. She's going home and marrying me. That's not negotiable, said Kiba before the fire and the heat from it shot up to dangerous levels. I think it is. You seem to forgetting, this is my empire, this is my home, and this is my house in which you have entered demanding something from me, said Naruto before he snapped his fingers and instantly the samurai outside, plus entirely new squad entered the room, and surrounded the group. Naruto stop. Please, said Sakura while hoping he would listen to her for old time's sake. I don't answer to you. I don't answer to any of you. Not to Konoha, not the councils, not the clan heads, and certainly not to the Hokage responsible for ordering my banishment from the Leaf Village. Don't worry though, as I'm not going to kill you in order to send my own personal response back to this, but rather send you back humbled, and filled with regret that will forever be considered an irremovable mark on your souls. Take all, but Jiraiya away to the dungeons, as I have some things we need to discuss, and I don't want any kind of distractions from the Konoha scum he brought with him, said Naruto seeing the guards restrain the Leaf Shinobi and escort them out of the room. Naruto. Stop this. We're sorry. Please, said Sakura, but her voice was ignored by the Emperor, and his focus clearly on Jiraiya. Do you wish me to leave since this is personal matter between you two? Said Hinata, but Naruto shook his head no, and put a hand on hers to signify he wanted the woman to stay. No. This is important. As my future wife, you should be involved in my personal life and all that I do, said Naruto with a smile on his face, as he kissed her hand which made the Hyuga blush before they both turned to face Jiraiya, and their smiles left. So, what do you want to talk about? Said Jiraiya while seeing Kyubi, Kurama, and Walter were in the room in a triangle formation with the Sannin himself in the center of it. I wish to talk to you about my family estate. Specifically, everything in Konoha that's not nailed down, and that I inherited from my father. From the most simplest teacup to the house he lived in with my mother. I want to know everything, said Naruto in very dangerous tone, and Jiraiya knew that his godson was going to get what he wanted no matter what. Sure. Why not? After all, it is yours, said Jiraiya letting out a sheepish laugh and saw Naruto was not amused. Not even in the slightest. That's right. It is, mine. Something you are going to inform Tsunade upon your return when we are done talking here and you enjoy some of my hospitality. The very kind of hospitality the leaf showed me when I was growing up, said Naruto, seeing Jiraiya now whimper in fear, knowing this was going to hurt on so many levels before the blonde let him along with the others leave the empire. Dungeon area beneath the Imperial Palace. Not many people got sent to the dungeons of the Imperial Palace, as few wished to even cause unrest within the Western Elemental Empire, but there were still few that did, and when caught were sent there to face justice. When the Leaf Shinobi were brought to the dungeon area, they were instantly stripped of all weapons, and means to escape while being allowed to keep their clothes on in order to show the Empire didn't stoop that low. Each prisoner was put in a different cell, their chakra-suppressing cuffs placed on their wrists, and the shackles prevented any attempt of escape from this area impossible. Anko's curse seal was seen by one of the guards and was stopped from entering her cell before she felt a slip of paper with a seal on it be put on top. The special Jounin felt an intense pain where the curse seal had been and had cried out from it while the others were in their cells. When it was over, Anko felt the guard shove her in, and shut the cell while not even caring if the special Jounin tripped when entering. "Anko, what did they do to you?" said Kurenai while hearing Anko move slightly and find that out herself. "I don't know. They put something on, that," said Anko, knowing Kurenai understood what she meant. "Your curse seal? What did they do to it?" said Kakashi, hearing the woman moan out in pain from touching it and trying to sit up more. "I don't really know, but if I had to guess, I think they purged it from my body," said Anko, who was completely stunned that this had happened, and so were the others. "Do you think it's permanent or just temporary?" said Kurenai while she heard Anko hiss in pain at touching where the mark was. "Definitely permanent. I feel burned flesh where the curse seal is located," said Anko, as she could feel the pain from the mark no longer being there, and yet would prefer to have Jiraiya look at it later to ensure it was gone. "Maybe they'll share the seal with us to use on Sasuke," said Kakashi, hopefully, knowing the Uchiha could use it. "Considering how rude we were to the Emperor?" "Not a chance," said Kurenai while the sound of Kakashi letting out a hollow laugh filled the area. "Naruto is the Emperor of the Western Elemental Empire. It figures. You put him in a situation or area that is impossible to fix, and what does he do? He fixes it. He's just like Minato-sensei," said Kakashi while leaning back against the wall and wondering how things got so twisted. "He's also a lot like Kushina. So full of energy and life. You stand in her way, it didn't matter how strong you were, she'd find a way to knock your teeth out, and made sure people were there to see it," said Kurenai, as she remembered Kushina, and how hot-tempered the woman was when it came to women hitting on her husband. Many a female, both civilian and kunoichi alike, were sent to the hospital. "Something to consider when down here among the filth. You've become just like the rest of your people in the Leaf Village," said a deep melodic-like voice belonging to someone of terrifying power. "Who's there?" said Kiba while Akamaru whimpered in fear. "Who indeed, little man?" said the figure behind the voice, laughing while he materialized from the dungeon floor, wearing a red trench coat, hat, shades with orange lenses, black pants, shirt with a crimson vest, and long dark hair. "You are not human," said Shino, with the figure having the biggest smile they had ever seen appearing on his face. "The name is Alucard. That's all you need to know. The dungeons here are my domain. Never before have I had so many guests at one time sent to me by the Emperor. We are going to have great deal of fun before you are sent on your way," said Alucard before laughing a cruel and evil laugh that would put Orochimaru to shame. Royal audience chamber. Sometime later, Jiraiya was thrown across the room by the punch delivered to his body, skidding across the floor thanks to the hands of Kyuubi, and his level of brutality in hurting the Sannin. Jiraiya had confessed everything to Naruto a long time ago, telling him every single thing the Emperor wanted to know, since not telling him seemed to be pointless, and after that happened, Naruto asked Kyuubi to beat the holy hell out of the Sannin for the both of them. "Naruto-kun, I think he's had enough," said Hinata while putting a hand on his own. "Kyuubi, stop," said Naruto, which for Jiraiya was just in time, since the demon fox was about to drop a demon strength enhanced foot down on the man's crotch, and cripple the man in the ways of perversion. "You're sure?" said Kyuubi, seeing Naruto nod. "Hinata wishes it. Walter, send him down to the dungeon with the others. They are going to stay there for the next few days with him," said Naruto with an evil grin on his face. "As you wish, my emperor," said Walter before dragging the beaten man away by his hair to further cause the man pain. "Naruto, I'm sorry. I had no choice. Naruto, please. You have to believe me. Naruto. I am sorry. Naruto," said Jiraiya while calling out to his godson before the door shut behind him and left the remaining people in the room alone. "I know you are sorry, Jiraiya, but the thing is, we all have our choices make in life, and you chose, unwisely," said Naruto in a cold tone before closing his eyes and banishing the anger deep within his heart. He didn't want to be like this in front of Hinata. "Kyuubi. Kurama. Could you leave us, please? Naruto-kun needs to relax," said Hinata, as both demonic foxes bowed, and left the two lovers alone. I'm sorry you had to see that part of me. I don't like being a cruel person, but it had to be done, said Naruto while not looking at Hinata in shame of his own actions and felt her gentle hand on his face. They hurt you, Naruto. They betrayed you like my family betrayed me. It's only natural your heart aches at the sight of them and wishes to heal in its own way, said Hinata, as she put her face to his own, and felt him put an arm around her shoulder. You are what heals my heart, Hinata-chan, said Naruto in a whispered tone, and two held each other even tighter. Let's go somewhere to relax. I think you can stop being emperor for the rest of the day, said Hinata, as she took his hand, and the two rose before leaving via secret passage to the gardens where they could relax in their own private sanctuary. A few days later, the shinobi from Konoha looked, for the lack of a better word, an utter wreck. They had not slept much since their time in the dungeons, looking more like bums off the streets one found within the slums of society than shinobi, and the look in their eyes spoke of broken spirits. Each one went through nightmare upon nightmare at the hands of Alucard and his promising fledgling of a student, Ceres Victoria, learning from the experience. The woman had blonde hair with blue eyes, which further hit home for them since Ceres could pass for being Naruto's sister without whisker marks, and when angry turned into crimson ones like Naruto's did when using Kyuubi's power. I trust returning to Konoha in your state won't be a problem? Said Kyuubi, as he had seen fit to drop them off at the wall, and knew it would be a long road back since Earth Country along with Iwa stood in the way of getting back to Konoha. We'll manage it, said Jiraiya, as he had his legs broken the day before by Kyuubi, put them in casts, and was then given crutches to make it back home that way until Sakura could heal him. Kyuubi had forbidden her from doing it until they got back to the leaf. Good to know. Oh, just one more thing before you leave, and it concerns that woman you call Hokage, said Kyuubi before tossing Kakashi a scroll since Jiraiya was unable to do it and stay upright. What's this? Said Kakashi while trying some idea what was inside. Incentive for that bitch to comply with Naruto's demands and claims for what are his by birthright. The things Konoha will no doubt try to deny and or destroy before they ever hand them over to him. Which reminds me, Kakashi, hand over that kunai, said Kyuubi seeing Kakashi stiffen slightly and look away. I don't know what you are talking about, said Kakashi before he felt Kyuubi's chakra flare around him. Don't test me, Hitake. You were given everything back to you earlier, but Alucard spoke to me of an unusual kunai in your possession, and when I asked him to describe it to me in detail, I knew what it was. Give it, now, said Kyuubi with eyes that left no room for arguing. But, Minato-sensei gave it to me as a gift when I became Jounin, said Kakashi with a sense of defiance, but the demon fox took a step forward, and claws out ready to tear the man's heart out if he was denied one more time. A gift that you are unworthy of after abandoning the man's son. I find you are unworthy of being the Yondaime's student. I find you are unworthy of even being alive, and the only reason you're still breathing is because your sensei's son wishes it. Though why he does, I don't know, since it will only require one of you to send a verbal message to Konoha, and the dead bodies we send back should more than reinforce things. However, I trust Naruto completely, and if he wishes to show mercy by letting you all return, then so be it, said Kyuubi, knowing his former vessel had a motive to this madness and decided to go along with it. I understand, said Kakashi, as he handed the Hiraishin kunai that Minato gave him to Kyuubi, and felt a sense of loss in doing so. Glad we understand one another. Now get out of here before I decide to do something violent, said Kyuubi before pointing them in the direction Konoha would be after they traveled several hundred miles. With humble submissive bows, the Leaf Shinobi turned to face their side of the continent, and wondering if how they felt now would become worse after giving their report to the Hokage about their failure in this mission. What would the repercussions be? Would they face banishment too? If Naruto could be banished for succeeding, then what was the price to be paid for failing their village, and the Hokage? They could only hope the information they brought back would have enough value to prevent any such punishments from the Hokage. Thanks for listening and remembering that disrespect is real. Goodbye.